Hello, everybody. Welcome to the UWP, the Unnamed Wrestling Podcast channel. This is LunaKage here with a little update. Basically, this is the first episode of our, news type thing. News in the wrestling world, or at least in WWE, because we don't have a lot of time. Speaking of time, we have recorded our episodes covering TakeOver Dallas and WrestleMania 32. Right now, we're in the process of moving all of our old episodes to the new channel, and we're up to episode 8, I believe. So you should expect the TakeOver Dallas and WrestleMania 32 to be up, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. I can't say for sure. Jay's the one that uploads those. But I figured in the meantime, we should get this brand new and exciting content underway with today's first talking point. And it's just going to be me here, me doing these little segments because, we only do one episode of the podcast a month, basically, covering a pay-per-view. Today is Tuesday, April 12th, and we just got finished seeing what happened on Raw yesterday. And today's talking point is AJ Styles, because he's a very important wrestler to me and, a lot of different people, because he's been at it for a long time. Speaking of a long time, it seems he has a new finishing move, and it's not a new move. It's just one of his old ones. The Phenomenal Forearm, as it has been called in WWE, has ascended to finisher status, being used to defeat Sami Zayn in last night's episode of Raw. And it wasn't like, it wasn't a jobber match. He had an actual match with Sami Zayn. If Sami won, he'd be inserted into the main event of Payback, and it would become a triple threat for the WWE title. Instead, AJ won, using the Phenomenal Forearm to beat him clean. Now, what I wanted to mention is how it's kind of surreal now when you think about it, because AJ Styles, he's been wrestling for about 17 years, and pretty much the entirety of that, his finishing move has been the Styles Clash. Adding the calf killer to his arsenal as well as a submission finishing move, but that's not really as spectacular, because it's a submission finishing move. You could add those basically whenever you want. They did it with John Cena. He had never used a submission move ever, but then randomly is inserted into a submission match, and he needs one, so he starts using the STF, stuff like that. You could usually do that with no problems. The fact that it's not a submission move we see often in WWE is, a cool thing, because it makes his character a little more unique in that aspect. The only other finishing move AJ Styles has had in his career has been the spiral tap, which we have yet to see in WWE, and I'm really hoping we get to see that at some point. But what I wanted to talk about is not necessarily that he has a new move as a finisher, but why he's got a new move as a finisher. Now, there's a lot of things, a lot of reasons you could speculate as to why. You could say maybe Vince McMahon or someone else in charge doesn't really like the Clash, and that might make sense, because if we were to rewind all the way back to when I first saw AJ Styles, which I believe was 2004 in TNA, he was doing all this amazing stuff, and then his finishing move was the Styles Clash. And back then, I'm like, what the fuck is this thing? It looks so weird. It's a belly flop, that's it. It's not even, if you would have said that they were dropping the Styles Clash back then and giving him a new move, it wouldn't have been as bad, because honestly, I don't really think the move is that cool, personally. But since it's a move that's been established, just to put this in perspective here, the Styles Clash has won AJ more championships than Roman Reigns' spear has won him matches. And I don't know if that's a fact, but the point is, AJ Styles won a lot of championships with a Styles Clash. It's an established move. It's an extremely established move. So At this point, if you were to tell me that the Styles Clash would no longer be a finishing move, I would take exception to that. And you might be thinking, well, why does that no longer have to be his finishing move? Like, there are wrestlers that have more than one finishing move, and you're right. But if you notice, a lot of people have been kicking out of the Clash since he's been in the WWE, and by a lot of people, I mean Chris Jericho, but he has a lot of people. A lot of people were saying what they're weakening the Clash. It was this devastating thing in Japan. So why, like, they're kicking out of the Clash? What's the deal? And I mean, it makes sense if they don't want the Clash to be a finishing move, make the Phenomenal Forearm a finishing move, and there you go. And that does make sense. If they do that, whatever, I'll be a little upset that the Clash has been delegated or relegated. I don't know words. Has been basically just demoted to just a 2 count spot. But I have another theory. I don't necessarily think that the Styles Clash is going to stop being a finishing move. And I don't even necessarily think that the Phenomenal Forearm will stay a finishing move. If it does, that'd be cool, because I like the idea of having multiple finishing moves per wrestler. But I think the main reason that the Phenomenal Forearm was upgraded in this match against Sami Zayn, because it is, to my knowledge, the first time AJ has pinned somebody off of that forearm, and I think the reason why is because his next match, or rather his next marquee match, he's probably going to be on Raw several times, but the next pay-per-view Payback is going to be AJ Styles challenging for the WWE title against Roman Reigns. And if you think back to AJ Styles' debut at the Royal Rumble, one of the first things he tried to do was put Roman Reigns into the Clash, and it didn't look good. It didn't look right. Obviously, he didn't even get to the point where he got to hook the arms with his legs. But just seeing Roman Reigns lifted by AJ Styles and Roman having no idea what the fuck he's supposed to be doing at that point. His legs are still outstretched, just his arms hanging forward. He's like, what's going on? I don't think Roman Reigns is going. I don't think he can take the Clash. I don't think he knows how. I don't think it's going to be something that is going to happen. I think it might be teased in the match at Payback. But again, I don't think we're even going to get to the point where Roman gets his arms hooked with the legs, because I don't think he's necessarily comfortable taking the move, and I don't even know if Vince McMahon is comfortable with Roman taking the move, because the Clash has put away a lot of people for real. Because if you're not 100% sure on how to take that move, if you try to tuck the head, which a lot of wrestlers are trained to tuck the head when they take bumps, but this isn't a back bump. It's a face bump. You're not supposed to necessarily tuck your head. But if you tuck your head, and especially if you're a little taller like Roman Reigns is, you can really get your face and your head and your neck just completely fucked up by this move. It's happened in New Japan, I believe, to Yoshitatsu, maybe another. It's happened to somebody in the Indies, I believe it was Ring of Honor. I don't know the name of the guy because I'm not extremely well versed into the Ring of Honor, modern Ring of Honor roster. But it's a dangerous move to take, which is odd, because the bump itself, I imagine, is one of the least painful bumps you can take. But if you mess it up, then you're boned, seriously boned, because a neck injury of that kind is not the kind that you want to get ever. So I think what they're doing is they're leveling up the Phenomenal Forearm to be a move that he can comfortably hit and hit against Roman Reigns. It's a move that's it's actually, especially against Roman Reigns, it's a move that can serve as a really good move to tease as well. It's really easy to have AJ spring off the ropes, go for the forearm, but Roman Reigns ducks under it. It's a really easy move to to dodge at the last minute. Like you think, oh, he's about to hit it, but then they dodge or maybe they reversal. I could easily see the finish of this payback match being AJ going for the phenomenal forearm, but then Reigns spearing him in midair. Like it's something you can work with, and it's something Roman Reigns can work with. Now, whether or not it's going to stay a finishing move has yet to be seen, but I do approve of it becoming a finishing move, especially against Roman Reigns. I'm hoping it does stay a finishing move. I hope that this Styles Clash is still a finishing move. I don't want to see it weakened to just a signature, because again, this move, it's been around a long time. It's been AJ's put-away move for a long time. So I think it would be really cool for AJ to maintain that move while also keeping phenomenal forearm, the calf killer, and hopefully we see the spiral tap at some point on WWE TV, because it's a great move. It's like the only aerial move that we haven't seen Adrian Neville do. So I'm hoping that comes in at some point. Keep my fingers crossed. All right, yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about that. Yeah, hopefully we'll have the next episode of the podcast up really soon after this backlog is taken care of. With that said, I will leave you guys. Thanks for listening. I guess if you wanted to watch the screen that we have up, that's cool too, but thanks mainly for listening, and we'll see you next time.